Yo, 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 what's up, YouTube? Quick video on patch notes 14.10. There's a lot of things that happen here, and I kind of didn't feel like having to repeat all of these changes in my videos again and again and again, which is kind of like not the point of a full gameplay commentary. So I'm just gonna go over them real quick. Experience changes. Basically what they did here is their goal is for junglers and duo laners to be similar level to solo laners, which is weird because they changed it a million times so that solo laners are always higher level. It's a mess. It doesn't really matter. The gist of this is that basically your second to fourth camps, like clears, are gonna have more XP. Like your camps are gonna have more XP in your second to third to fourth clear. But you do lose some XP when sharing a kill in late game. Like these numbers are identical, so at level 9 plus you're gonna have 10% less XP per shared kill. The gold changes. It's like a whole lot of numbers. It doesn't really matter that much for UDYR. Basically it's harder to get like a CS bounty, and it is less punishing to have a kill streak, and it's less punishing to have a death streak. Champions, we don't really have to check that out. It's kind of irrelevant. I mean, there is some changes that you guys can make your own opinions about, like the Corki change. I think it's pretty significant. Then items, corrupting potion got removed. That's relevant for lane UDYR, I guess, for lane UDYRs who took that. I'm not that proficient in when it comes to stuff with lane UDYR, so I'm not even gonna talk that much about this. This is a support item that doesn't really matter for us. That doesn't really matter for us either. Sure, Battlesong got nerfed because people were abusing it. Now tank items, there are some interesting things for us. One of them being Anathema's chains got removed from the game. Now I build this item relatively frequently. If there is, like, let's say an ADC that you just need to reduce its damage by, or like they have one AP carry but a full AD team, so you don't want to build magic resistance, which would be ineffective against 4 of their champions but only effective against one of them. Chains would be much better because health is good against everybody. So it's kind of sad that they removed this item, in my opinion. It was a pretty cool and interesting item in my opinion, but it is what it is. Really hard anti-carry item. This is kind of relevant, I guess. Warmox has, what is that, 250 more HP, but the heal per second goes down. I don't know, guys. Can you cook something fun with that? Sure. There's a bruiser item where, like, having health, that we talk about later on, where having more health is actually relevant, but again, I don't know. Riot basically said that they want health items that only give health to be a viable stat line. I just feel like with all the max HP that every new champion has nowadays, it's kind of impossible to do that. Almost every champion has max HP nowadays. Like, if you just build health, even as like a bruiser where you have tanking effects like Sterok's Gauge, you are relatively squishy because there's just too much max HP in it and too much anti-tank mechanics in the game. HP is just a laughable stat. HP is more like a stat that makes you semi-tanky and amps up a lot of bruiser items and stuff like that, your Rift Maker, what have you. Fimbulwinter, kind of like the same idea. More health, and you get more health from the passive. The same for Winter's Approach. Now, they have said that they want to introduce more haste to tank items, which they do here. They reduce the health and they give haste and they make it 100 gold cheaper, which is interesting, I'm not gonna lie. Hollow Radiance gets 10 haste and what is that, 150 less HP. The same goes for Sunfire, I guess. Now Omen got an interesting change. We lose a little bit of health, we get a lot more armor. The slow, like the active cooldown, goes up by 50%, aka 30 seconds. But the slow goes up. But here's the interesting bit. Rock Solid got removed. Rock Solid got removed, meaning that you can build Omen with Frozen Heart now. if there is a game where you have to do that, which is interesting. But overall, as a standalone item for Bruiser UDYR that doesn't like to stack a million armor items, right? Like usually we have one armor item, one MR item, then maybe Jug Show last or Sterak's Gauge last or whatever. But this is kind of not that good for Bruiser UDYR in my opinion, because like now as a standalone item, Omen is weaker. So it's kind of a nerf. Unending Despair got changed. The trigger rate, so when you get the healing, got reduced by 2 seconds, and there is a reason for that. I hope we didn't skip over the runes. No, okay, we didn't. So system, items, yeah, okay, excuse me. So there's a reason for that. They removed Ingenious Hunter, but we will get into that later on. Abyssal Mask got an interesting update. It's 100 gold cheaper, 10 less resistances, and the unmake, so the MR shred, the MR removal passive, got reworked into, instead of just being a flat value that scales on bonus HP, it depends on how much magic resistance you have. So if you have a Force of Nature that gives you like 125 MR, you can like reduce a lot of magic resistance on the enemy team. The radius got increased, which is nice for UDYR, because UDYR is not always in the radius with his Phoenix. Sometimes you just pop your R2 on this. This is especially good for like how I play Phoenix UDYR, which is a little bit more quote-unquote AP bruiser. Like I build more damage items usually, because I think there's just more value in throwing an R2 into a team than actually being a tank as UDYR. I don't think UDYR is the greatest tank, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Knight's Vow got changed. Personally, I know a lot of people recommended this item to me. I haven't tested this item. I can't tell you. I didn't play enough to know if this item was strong or not, but what they did is basically, long story short, its total cost is unchanged. You get some base regen, less armor, and the damage reduction on a target is way lower if they are below 30% max HP, but it's always 12%, so it's not gonna even out the damage reduction. It's gonna be a little bit weaker when targets are low, which happens quite frequently for squishy targets. But it's just kind of like a slight nerf. It's like it's a decent nerf. Let me be honest with you, it's a decent nerf. The Zeke's got an interesting change too, in my opinion. So we get more health, less armor, get magic resistance. So this is interesting now. We lose 10 haste, but the mana got removed. So in all reality, this item is kind of better for jungle UDYR now. There is some things I'm thinking I could cook with that, but we will see. This works on UDYR's passive, which is pretty cool. Mage items, irrelevant, honestly. Now this is an interesting item for the full AP UDYR enjoyers. I want to do some builds with full AP UDYR for sure too. There is a new component called Faded Ashes. This is an item that costs 2.8k gold in total. It has 90 AP, 600 mana, is a bit unlucky. Every item is a mana item. 25 haste, but it has a burn effect, so similar to Leandri's if you damage champions, and you can stack these the way I understand it. Similar to Leandri's, you get a burn that now scales with AP, so the more AP you have, the better the burn is, for 3 seconds. And it helps you clear against monsters. I think all the burn items have that now. So that's pretty good. I mean, the component Faded Ashes helps you clear. We're gonna see that in a second here. But for each champion monster, epic monster, large monster, right? So red buff, that are affected by the burn, you gain 4% AP. So that is a huge juice up for UDYR's damage. Like, you can do definitely some cooking with it. It's interesting, very interesting. I'm not saying this is the new broken meta. I'm just saying it's interesting. It's supposed to be tested. Now this is the Faded Ashes. 900 gold component, 40 AP, and it gives you the burn. It's actually not that bad. Amptom is 45 AP, right? It's 45 AP. It's a similar price, but it doesn't have the burn. I think this is actually a pretty good component. Now, I don't care about that. The total cost is unchanged for Leandri's, but we do get the Faded Ashes, which I think that means that Leandri is also going to get the bonus damage against monsters now, which is pretty interesting. I mean, of course, this is a buff to UDYR, but this is also a buff to Brand, guys, okay? This is also a buff to Brand and champions of that nature. Don't care about that now. This item is probably the most interesting item for me. Overlord's bloodmail. It's 2 Thunders plus 1k gold, really awkward build path. 3.3k gold, pretty expensive. It gives you 40, 80, 500 health. You gain 2% of your bonus HP, so the more HP you build, the more attack damage you get. That is not your total, this is only the HP you build on top of your base stats. From items and levels, I think. So, 2% turn into 80, that's kind of like the old Titanic Hydra, but also gain up to 10% increased attack damage based on your percentage missing health. And it is 10%, I mean that is a lot. You can get a lot of 80 from this item. So the max is well below 30%. You get a lot of more bonus 80 from this item. This is like probably UDYR's best late game item now, next to Sterix Gauge. I think Titanic Hydra, Overlord's Bloodmail, and Sterix Gauge are gonna compete, but I also have a feeling all these items have such crazy synergies together that you could cook a build where you just go full on bruiser, say I'm squishy, yeah, I only have health, but I'm relatively squishy, excuse me, but I also deal a shit ton of damage and have crazy synergy, so that's interesting. This item should definitely be cooked. Blade of the Ruined is actually better on UDYR now. You get 15 more AD, you get 5% more attack speed, you get 2% more lifesteal, which is whatever. But the on-hit damage got removed. That is something UDYR cared about, don't get me wrong, but the thing that made this item shitty is the stats. Like, you got so little stats, and UDYR is a stat-hungry champion. So this is actually a buff, even though it's just a change in all reality. And also what is good is your first auto attack used to slow people, so that's usually your stun. Oh no dear, right? More often than not, this is your stun, the first auto attack. So you kind of waste a lot of the slow. But now it's every third auto attack slows by 30% and has the 15-second cooldown. And then they changed this slightly. Black Cleaver, now also much better. Max 30% shred. See, now we are getting into the territory with Black Cleaver, where Black Cleaver actually turns into a decent armor shredding item. Like, now this is actually a good item on Odin. I definitely want to do a game where, like, maybe I have 2 or 3 AD champions and they have a tank and I want to build the second. Trinity falls into this or something like that. Boot changes are a little bit sad, but a little bit good for us too. So, plated steel caps, less basic attack damage reduction. Pretty good for UDYR, honestly. I don't know exactly how this was calculated. Some people told me that your Q damage went into the damage reduction, which would make this an insanely good change for UDYR. Some people said it didn't. I'm not 100% sure. Overall, still pretty cool change though. Mobis are removed. Why are Mobis removed? Because supports just built it and became god on the map and just impacted every play for no reason. They are now replaced by symbiotic souls, which is basically a 900 gold. You get only 35 movement speed. Your recall is empowered, which I'm not 100% sure what that means. If that's a faster recall, could be interesting. After you travel 150,000 units, upgrade to synchronized souls, which is, by the way, a lot. Which is basically the new Mobis. You get 45 speed, your recall is empowered, which is new, and you get out of combat MS. So this should basically make it so that if you want to have the mobility, you have to wait a little bit until you get it. That's like the entire point of this change. Bloodthirster, I mean, guys, I'm not going to go over all the crit items. The gist of the crit items is here. Every crit item has higher crit chance. If an ADC has 4 crit items, they have 100% crit ratio, which means that every auto attack is a crit. But for that, they made the items more expensive. But overall, this is just good for ADCs. You see here 100 gold more, but they get 5 AD and 5% crit. Like, it's just overall a really, really freakish change. this is like the gist. I'm not gonna go over all of this. If you guys love to cook crit items, you can go over this yourself. I'm not like really into this meme territory when it comes to Udyr. In my opinion, crit and lifesteal are both bad stats on Udyr. And yeah, or not preferable stats, they're not horrible. Krakens, they got the crit removed and got movement speed implemented, and the damage got changed to, what is it, every third attack additional on an increase, same target repeatedly. So basically the damage gets higher the lower the target is, which is interesting for Udyr, but honestly, why not just build 80 on Udyr and do the same amount of damage while having better other stats like HP and CDR? I don't know. I might cook something with this, I'm not 100% sure. Sadness, we buff armor. We buff armor penetration. What changed? Nothing, actually. That just means that if you're a semi-tanky champion like Bruiser Udyr is, this is even gonna hurt you more now, in a sense. Because it's total armor pen, it's not bonus. So that's pretty sad. They removed crit from this item, lifesteal. Whatever. This gets more crit. They changed this item completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Honestly, completely irrelevant. Irrelevant, irrelevant, irrelevant. They removed this. Irrelevant, irrelevant. This is kind of irrelevant. You could do like a fun burn build with this. But kind of irrelevant. This is interesting. Now Berserker Greaves have an update past level 15. You can upgrade your Berserker Greaves to this item, Sapphire, which total cost is, with the Berserker Greaves, mind you, 3.1k. You get 45 attack speed, which I don't know why they didn't, well, whatever, they just said 45 attack speed. I think it's supposed to be 45%. 45 move speed, and gain 5% stacking up to... Huh? That's different. I thought it was... Oh, right. Yeah, because Swifties keep their throw resistance. Gain 5% move speed for 6 seconds. That can up. What does this mean? Like, how does this stack? By auto attacking, I assume. It's probably just an opsi. Half-bound X. A long story short, guys, I just like to keep this compromise and not go over all the changes. It's a little bit more expensive. You get 5 more AD and 5% less attack speed. Kind of good for Udyr, honestly. Overall, probably like the best component in Trinity Force now again. This is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. This is relevant. So this is an adjustment, in my opinion, for ADCs. They removed 2% from the dagger attack speed because ADCs have like all this crit now. Which sucks a little bit for Udyr, but again, we are not that attack speed hungry in the first place. It's just kind of whatever. I think we are nearing the end here. We still have a little bit to go through. Ghost got nerfed, cooldown goes up, duration goes down, uppercut to Ghost. Basically what that means is, here's the issue with this change in my opinion. Here's the issue. Ghost is never an issue on the champions that's intended on like Udyr, Olaf, etc, etc, etc. It wasn't in any iteration was Ghost an issue on these champions. Now the issue is that ADCs and ranged champions get the same amount of movement speed and the same value out of Ghost as melee champions. But instead of making a range specific nerf, and the reason why I say this is unfair, by the way, is because range in and of itself is a huge positional advantage. Ghost is supposed to mitigate this to a certain degree, make kiting a little bit harder for the ADC, but now the ADC has the same mobility, making the ADC just untouchable, because he has the ranged advantage, and now he has the Ghost advantage. It kind of trivializes how you position as an ADC, which is horrible for the game. I always complained about that, it's bad. I remember when every fighter was taking Ghost, I was like, damn, I wonder why ADCs and mages don't go Ghost. I talked about this with a friend, and lo and behold, at some point everybody started taking Ghost. It's making the entire game less consistent, and they should have made it a ranged specific nerf. If I pop Ghost as Udyr with not having a ranged advantage and the ADC pops it, I shouldn't have to match movement speed with the ADC. I should slowly catch up to him. That's what kiting is, right? I shouldn't be always at a disadvantage. Anyways, little rant. It is what it is. Cleanse got changed, it's not really relevant, but we can go over it. The cooldown goes up, but you get more tenacity after you pop it. Cooldown goes up on exhaust, but you get more slow, and for this you get more duration in the feather shield. The heal radius got increased, so you basically have a bigger heal radius. Predator, Rip, Hashinshin, Cookie Lol, Rune got removed, it is what it is. Shout out. Drake Rune. Pause. Drake. BBL Rune got removed. Anyways, Hail of Blades. Ranged attack. Basically, they say the same thing they should have said for Ghost. It's too good on a ranged champion because they already have a ranged advantage, so they make it worse on ranged champions. Ingenious, Rip. No more Drain Tank Udyr in that sense. Maybe there's a different way to cook it. Sudden Impact got changed. It's completely dead on Udyr. So basically, it's not complete. So damaging basic attacks and abilities deal 20 to 80% based on either bonus true damage to an enemy champion within 4 seconds of using a dash or a blink. So I don't know if this procs on our E anymore, basically. Maybe we E and then auto attack, but I think you might as well just not take this kind of meme now. Relentless got nerfed, you don't have any 0 stack movement speed. Lethal tempo, Rip. Hey, end of an era, lethal tempo. You really carried AD Udyr in its early development when we weren't that knowledgeable about Udyr. Lately I've been rocking PTA anyway, so it's not a huge loss for me, but honestly, I understand it. Getting ranged and attack speed is just kind of an unhealthy... It's kind of an unhealthy stat line. You attack more and you have an easier way to attack. It interacts with champions in fucky ways. Not on Udyr really, but on other champions. PTA, kind of cool. Long story short, guys, you still have to pop after 3 auto attacks, but now instead of exposing the target for a certain amount for 8% bonus damage, meaning all damage that goes onto this target, your ally, Nash, whatever, Scuttle Crab throwing a rock at this enemy, would be increased. Now it's only your damage, but the caveat here is that you keep this 8% damage increase on only your damage until you are out of combat, meaning it's a more selfish rune, kind of good for Udyr. We will have to see long term, but I think kind of good on Udyr. And also you reapply this after a few seconds. I think it's 6 seconds. You can reapply this, which is good. So you get the burst, but you keep the percentage. Overheal has been removed. Now we have Absorb Life. My opinion, kind of an interesting rune for lane Udyr if you're in these matchups where you just get poked the fuck out and you can just take something like, I don't know, Fleet, or I don't know what you guys are cooking on the top lane. You can heal by killing minions. That's pretty decent, I guess. It's just supposed to help you like lane, in my opinion. Not that relevant for jungle. Tenacity got removed. Honestly, guys, some people say big rip, but in my opinion, I have not been running Tenacity. I've been running Alacrity pretty much for a month now. I rarely ever go Tenacity. I think having our E2 is enough, and then Tenacity boots are not bad. You can just go Tenacity boots. Have attack speed, faster clear, better skirmishing, faster objectives, everything faster. Good thumbs up. Now we have Legend Haste, which, here I will say this. I have a theory on Legend Haste versus the attack speed. I think you go attack speed against melee champions where you auto attack more, because then attack speed comes in handy. And I think you go ability haste against squishy ranged champions where you don't get to auto attack that much, so you can use your shield and your E more often, which is probably overall gonna be better. But who knows, maybe this is gonna be the standard. It stacks up to 15 haste, which is decent. Again, compared to the attack speed, I think it's kind of low, because you have to think about the like, do you know how, what is it called? Is it a mitigating effect? Well, basically, the more haste you have, the less worth haste is, basically, in actual cooldown reduction. Cut down, interesting. Long story short, guys, you deal 8% increased damage to targets who are above 60%, which is interesting for Udyr, for AD Udyr. Very interesting. There is probably certain games where you're more likely to to hit a target that is above 60% HP. Let's say they are tankier, so by the time the team fight starts, whatever, fight, you are more likely to actually get more out of this than you would get out of Coop. But Coop is still standard. Last Stand, not that good in my opinion, for AD Udyr at least, really good for Phoenix Udyr. This could be good for Phoenix Udyr and AD Udyr. And talking about this, I forgot that this could be interesting for Phoenix Udyr too if you are up against champions that you auto-attack. Maybe the 8% damage increase and the constant proc of PTA is worth on Phoenix over getting the adaptive force from your Conqueror. The healing is like kind of whatever on the Conqueror anyways, but this could be good on Phoenix if you auto-attack a lot, guys. You should definitely cook and tell me on my new Discord server. Join, link is in the comments. Yeah, this is just interesting. This is interesting again. I think against certain champs this is gonna be good. For Phoenix it's good because usually you pop your R2 into a team before everybody is low and then just walk out. At least that's how I play him. I don't play him that tanky usually. Fleet changes are irrelevant. Font of Life. Some people will say this is good on Udyr, it's kind of bad. So slowing or immobilizing an enemy champion heals you and the nearby ally with the least health for 10 to 50 health. No scaling. 20-second cooldown. Once you pop R, 20 seconds. Why would you ever take that, honestly? How irrelevant is that? Don't do that, guys. Don't do it to yourself. Inspiration, guys. Hey, Inspiration should get a lot better, in my opinion. Futures market, goodbye, bro. I'm not good with depth anyways. I'm like hella in depth IRL. Thank God that the shit got removed. Cashback, much better. I wish this is how IRL would work with my credit card. You buy something, you get 6% back. Isn't that much better than having debt? I think so. So basically the way this works is you buy an item, a legendary item, and you get 6% of the total gold back. Now why is this so good on Bruiser Udyr? All of our legendary items are extremely expensive. They are extremely expensive. 3.3k. We probably have the most expensive build out of all Udyrs. We do. So this is actually gonna be a lot of gold back. Definitely gonna make a separate gameplay video on this. I'm gonna make a separate gameplay video on all of these things, by the way. This is gone, which is good for us because this was dog shit. And now you have Jack of all trades, which is so weird, guys. So the way this works, and I know this is very confusing. For each unique stat, so if you have AD, that's one stat, attack speed, that's one stat, haste, that's one stat, AP, that's one stat, move speed, that's one stat. So for all these stats, right, you get a stack. You get 1 haste per stack. 5 stack, you have 5 haste, obviously, and 10 adaptive force. Interesting. At 10 stacks, you get 25 adaptive force, so that's a lot. So that would be 10 stats. Let's count here. If I build an Udyr build, I have attack speed, I have movement speed, I have AD, I have haste, I have health, that's 5, I have pause, is that it? I have armor, I have MR, 7. If I'm missing something, guys, just type a W in the comment section. Basically, 10 is hard, 5 is easy. Time warp got changed, I don't care. This got changed, I don't care. And that's pretty much it. With ARAM balancing for the people who still play ARAM in 2024. Still no A. Where's our fucking Udyr E change, man? Hello? Good morning, Ryan. Literally got a fish, I guess. I don't even know. I don't know any of that. Let's see if there's Udyr here. Let's see. Udyr. No, sir. No match. Well, it is what it is. Udyr's is still bugged, and then we got these skins. Feet. Is it Morgana? No, that's Soraka. Well, whatever, guys. We have 4 new soulless skins for people who have too much money. You guys can buy these. You can be a cute little fairy. if you are into that. And that pretty much concludes this video, guys. If you like this video, and I really hope I'm recording, by the way, I better be recording. Okay, I am recording. Thank fuck for that. If you like this video, give it a like. I'm gonna upload this on patch day, so you guys have like a nice little overview. Subscribing would be much appreciated. Gameplay is coming, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, who knows. Join the new Discord, link is in the description below. Give the video a like, subscribe, and that's it, guys. Peace.